Good evening, learners. Today's lesson we're talking about the basic ecological concepts. And under this lesson, we're considering the word and term ecology. Then we are going to outline the ecological concepts. Then we discuss the components of an ecosystem. Then lastly, we discuss the interaction among the components of the ecosystem. But first, we want to start with ecology. What does it mean? Or what is the meaning of ecology? As we have it in our lesson outline, ecology is the study of plants and animals. Plant and animal as well as their microorganisms. That is, you can have a plant or an animal in a form that you can't see with your ordinary eyes. Such animal or plant, we call them what? Microorganisms. So when they appear to be in that form, you can also study them in relation to their what? Environment. So in practical and science practicals, for you to carry out this, you have to consider three major factors. One, you study how the organisms are distributed in the environment. Then two, you find out how living organisms interact with the environment, how they depend on the environment, and lastly, you measure the factors that affect this environment. Let's start with talking about the branches that are involved in ecology. So with that, we can now begin to bring out in relation with their what? The organism, how organisms relate to their environment. So branch of ecology depends on whether the organisms are studied alone or in group. And if that will be studied alone, there is an aspect that deals with that. And if that will be studied in group, there's an aspect that's what deals with that. But we start with the first one I've mentioned here. We call that one Archaeology. Archaeology has to do with the study of individual organisms or a single organism and its environment. That is when you study particular organisms. For example, you pick a snail. You want to study the environment, how the snail depends or how it interacts with the environment. We call it what? Archaeology. You pick a rabbit, you pick a cat, you pick a fish, and you want to study that particular organism in the environment. You call it what? Archaeology. The other one is xenocology. Xenocology has to do with when you take a group of organisms and how they relate with the environment. You consider their species. You have organisms of different species, so you consider their species in that one. You study them. When you study a group of organisms in relation to the environment, you call it what? Xenocology. Now we're going to look at the environmental ecological terms that we need to understand so that we can have a full knowledge of these contents. One is environment. Talking about ecology, we also talk about environment. Because from definition, ecology has to do with what? Living organisms, either plant or animal, in relation to their what? Environment. So now, what is an environment? Environment can be defined as an external and internal factors by which living organisms or living things are being affected. This includes the external and internal factors that living organisms or non-living things are affected or they are being affected with. So this includes the habitat itself, you have the physical conditions, and you have the light, the food, the water, the air, and the preying animals. What are you that are in the environment that affect the organism itself? Part of it is the preying animals and the diseases that are in the environment too. So we need to understand that the environment is a very key aspect when we are studying what? Ecology. Because it's the environment that will tell us how living organisms are able to what? To survive, to enjoy, or to what? To benefit for its own functionality. I'm going to consider another aspect, which is the biosphere. Biosphere, also called the ecosphere. This is the zone of the earth that occupies what? That occupies volcanic activities, and it is majorly composed of life, where you have life itself. It is a part of the sphere that contains what? Where you can find life. And in that aspect, it is divided into three basic portions. The first one is the lithosphere, second one is the hydrosphere, and the third one is the atmosphere. These are the three major parts of the biosphere. So as I said, biosphere is the zone of the earth occupied by living organisms so as to carry out their biochemical activity. So let's take the first one, lithosphere. Lithosphere has to do with the solid part of the earth like the outermost zone where you can see human being moving around, basically on the sand, on the land where you can find rock, where you find mineral resources, and it is 30% of the whole earth surface, and it is basically of what human settlement, because that is where living organisms, especially human, that is terrestrial animal can what can settle. The next one is hydrosphere. Hydrosphere is the part of the what of the of the of the biosphere where you have water, especially the liquid part or the aquatic part of the biosphere. It is the largest. It has about 70% of the earth crust. It consists of water in various forms. Water in solid form, in liquid form, and gaseous form, like in vapor. So hydrosphere include lake, pool, your spring, your ocean, your pond, your sea, your rivers, and so on. So the last one we have here is the atmosphere. Atmosphere is the gaseous portion of the earth. That is where you have the gas. That is where you have your bird flying, and it consists of three major gases. First of what? The first is nitrogen, second is oxygen, and the third is carbon what? Carbon dioxide. And there are other what? There are gases and that are found in it. But they are different percentages. But the highest percentage of this portion of gas or gases that are found in this air is what? Is nitrogen. Nitrogen has about 78% of the atmosphere, followed by oxygen, which is just 21% or so, and the other ones, carbon dioxide has like 0.03%, then the other gases has like 0.77%, the dust and all that. So out of all these gases, the more reactive part of these gases is what? Oxygen. Oxygen is very reactive, but it's not as much or as abundant as what? As nitrogen. So now we have considered the environment, we consider the biosphere itself. We are going to look at another part, which is the habitat. Habitat. What is habitat? Habitat is the place. Habitat. We've talked about the biosphere. We've talked about the environment. Now, talking about the habitat. Habitat is a place where organisms is naturally found. That's just it. The natural place that you can find organisms and called what? Is called habitat. So, habitat is always affected by the environment, as we said earlier, and the habitat can be divided into three parts, which are basically the aquatic, the terrestrial, and the arboreal. Aquatic habitat is where you find your fish. Aquatic, terrestrial, and arboreal. Aquatic is where you find your fish, find your water animals. Then terrestrial is the land where you find organisms that depends on direct oxygen from the atmosphere. The arboreal is where you organisms that you find on top of trees, on top of high environments like mountains and all this stuff, on top of high trees in the skies are called arboreal animals. So animals that find those trees become arboreal settled animal, terrestrial settled animals, and aquatic settled animals. So even that, we now go to the ecological niche. So under habitat, we discuss and we have to understand that we have three major parts of the habitat, which are the aquatic, terrestrial, and the arboreal. Aquatic has to do with liquid part, terrestrial is solid part, and what the atmospheric part that is above the land, tree tops, and so next one is ecological niche. Ecological niche. What is ecological niche? Some call it niche, or they call it niche. Ecological niche is referred to as a part of the habitat that an organism is attached to. This refers to the habitat and the entire habitat. Habit. It refers to the habitat and entire habit of what? Of an organism. So it is a physical space occupied by an organism and its functional role in the community. A physical place that you can find that organism and it is attached to that environment. If you are looking for that organism, the place you can find it is what? The ecological niche. So, for example, when you want to see a butterfly, you find them when what? On what? On the leaves of beautiful flowers, on the leaves of plants. So that is the niche. You find caterpillar in the what? In the stem of some plants. So that is what we call the ecological chain. So the next one is population. Population, total number of organisms, of the same species that are living in a habitat, as we said in our previous lessons. And you can have in the garden more organisms that have in the garden, so on. Specific about the species. The next one is ecological system. That is, what is referred to as the ecological system? This is referred to the basic functional units of nature, which consists of all factors and their interaction with non-living environment. So that is what the ecological system, especially ecosystem. That is the functional units of nature that discuss about or consists of all living factors and the interaction with non-living part of the environment. So, leaving that, to go to biomes. Biomes is a large natural terrestrial ecosystem, and it is the plant and animal community produced and maintained by the climate. So, I want to consider components of the ecosystem. We have two major components of the ecosystem, and they are the biotic components and the abiotic components. So, the biotic components are the one that have to do with part where you find the living things in the ecosystem, while the abiotic components are the part where you find the non-living, or the non-living components of the ecosystem, and they are basically elements and compounds of the environment. So in which an organism lives. So abiotic components includes organic substances like carbohydrates, lipid, protein, inorganic substances, temperature, rainfall, the adaptive factors such as the soil type, the texture, the topography, the landscape, and so on. These are the abiotic components. Then the biotic component has to do with what? The major part are the three: the producer, the consumer, and the decomposer. The producer, as you know, these are the autotrophs. They are the food makers. They are the one in which all organisms depends on. So they are producers, and they are also called autotrophs, and they synthesize food from simple inorganic substances that we use either through photosynthesis or other processes. But the major one that is most known to us is photosynthesis, because it's autotrophic in nature. So at this point, green plants are the major factors that shows this attribute of producing for the organism in the ecosystem. So you have the green plants, you have the photophytes, you have the photosynthetic bacteria, so on and so on. So given that, we go to what? The consumer. The consumer are the one that feeds on the producer, and these are heterotrophs. They undergo what we call heterotrophic mode of nutrition, and they feed on the producers. So they may be primary, secondary, and tertiary consumers. Non-green plants, protozoa, and so on. I'm going to show you a chart to see how these are being arranged. Last thing, we have the decomposers. These are the saprophytes. They break down remains of plant and animals and releases usable nutrients to the soil. So these nutrients are used by a plant to make the food that we also want. So the thing goes like a sapling. I'm going to show you a chart that shows us about this relationship between the biotic components. Can I see this chart? The primary consumers, secondary consumers, the tertiary consumers, and the producers. These are the producers, the big plants. They make the food through photosynthesis, either through chemosynthesis or autophytic reaction. Then it goes directly. The grasshopper, which the consumer feeds on this. The frog feeds on the grasshopper, and the snake feeds on the frog. Then the hawk feeds on the. When everything goes down, they all die, and the decomposers feed on them. Then the nutrient they release to the soil, the plant takes it back, and the thing goes like that. So that's what we call the biotic component of the system. The producers, the consumers, and the decomposers. So we can see that in this particular instructional material. So now, generally, living things influence other living things in many ways. One, for the feeding habit, shading of sunlight, then pollination and dispersal of seed, competition. Some of these factors are favorable, while others are unfavorable. So looking at all these factors, like I said earlier, that under this topic, we are considering living organisms and how they relate with our environment. Relationship between living organisms and environment is a factor that we consider under ecology. So the factors in the environment may be favorable or not favorable to the living organisms. So you have to understand that for you to deeply explain this topic, you must know that ecology has to do with interaction between what living organism and what and the environment. So if I may go, I try to conclude this lesson by saying ecology, as I said earlier, is the interaction between what living organism and the environment. Then we consider some factors, consider some aspects of what of ecology, and these aspects are so very key by knowing that for you to work on this, for you to get the relationship between these, you must consider three things. You study the environment that they are, you study the organisms, you find out how living organisms depend on themselves in that environment, and you measure factors that affect what the environment. Then doing that, you go to the branch of science that deals with this, how organisms and environment are what being related. A single organism or a species of organism with what in the environment, or a group of organisms what in the environment. He said that ecology has to do with a single organism with the environment, while ecology has to do with what a group of organisms with what with the environment, how they interact with the environment. And even that go to the what ecological terms. Talk about the environment itself, talk about the biosphere, and talk about the habitat. So biosphere that to do with the particular place that what living organism is found and the factors that are affecting what that living organism. Then the biosphere has to do with where you have life, and in this we have what some three factors there that we consider, or three aspects that we consider there, and the lithosphere, the biosphere, and the hydrosphere. Then the last one we have the habitat, that is where the living organism can stay. We can add what aquatic, terrestrial, or outdoor. Then we talk about ecological nature, the specific place we find that particular organism. Then we talk about population, the number of organisms of this species living in the environment. So in a particular habitat. So the last is the community. It's made up of all the population of living organisms that exist together in the habitat. So population goes beyond just one species. It's a large number of organisms. Community has to be a large number of organisms having different kind of organisms in that environment. So then lastly we talk about the ecological system, then biomes, that is a large natural and terrestrial ecosystem. They only consist of plant and animal, and they cohabit in relation to their environment. Then last part of the component of the ecosystem, that is the biotic and the abiotic component. Biotic has to do with the living component, and abiotic with non-living component. The abiotic, as I said earlier, is a non-living component, and they extend through to what? To what the organism taking as substance, organic substance, inorganic substance like carbon dioxide, water, then climatic factors like light, temperature, rainfall, and so on. Then other factors like soil type, texture, topography, land structure, those are under abiotic component. And lastly, the biotic component has to do with what the three major factors, which are the producers, the consumer, and the decomposers, as I said earlier. So producers are the ones that produce what the consumer feeds on, then the decomposer will feed on the consumers or the producer itself, so that they can give nutrient back to the soil that the producer will need to make more or get more food produced into the system. So I think with this particular lesson we need to discuss major parts that are needed. So see you in the next video.